Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the Big Movement Podcast. Today, we have Melissa Badine, who is a coffee-addicted mompreneur who's been in business since 2005, honing her gifts as a registered massage therapist, a Reiki Master, a psychic medium, as well as being an online business and entrepreneur by launching a course to help people find and follow their soul's purpose online. So let's give a warm welcome to Melissa. So Melissa, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm grateful for anyone who's listening.
Oh, you're welcome. So tell me about, how did you start this journey of being an entrepreneur because you're doing so many things? How did you get into the massage therapist component and then grow it?
In all honesty, I was that young child trying to make my own money because my parents set me with an allowance. And I realized that they kind of blackmailed me for massage therapy because I wasn't bad at it. And then it turned into I actually enjoyed doing it. And I did an apprenticeship program at a local studio when I was 16. And then at the age of 17, I started my own business after having worked there for about a year and getting over 250 hours of work experience. And I more or less did it as like a hobby base to start. And then it's flourished from there. I went to school and became registered and then just slowly found my niche within it and grew. And so there's many aspects to it, but it was more the parents blackmailed me, and now I actually do enjoy it and want to keep growing. So
now that is an interesting way to enter into a career field. I think of all the different people I've talked to, I've never heard someone say, yeah, my parents blackmailed me into doing this.
I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty honest. And when they hear the story, they do shake their head. They go, yeah, we did do that. Because like if I wanted to ride somewhere, they'd be like 15-minute reflexology. And so if I wanted to get picked up, that was another 15 minutes.
That's an interesting way of doing it. Instead of it just being, oh, you want this? Okay, you have to go and do chores or something like that.
Yep. For a birthday present, I did get a massage table. And that really just made my life. I was the one that geeked out over an aromatherapy set as a child. So it worked.
Wow. So they definitely planted the seeds for you to do this.
I am forever grateful because they did and they supported.
That's the most important thing, is that you have that support in whatever you're doing. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to create success if you don't have a baseline of support in your life.
That is so true.
So now, you've been in business for a while. Were you working in another business for an extended period, or did you break off on your own at a certain point?
I worked at that one place for about a year, and there was so much that I learned, but then I also found that in order to do it, you had to actually have credentials behind you, like a license and a business license, and you also had to have your commercial liability insurance. And through my experiences, and I do say this like in my online course, learn from my mistakes, because at 16 I wasn't aware of that, and the place that I worked at, they weren't ran legally, and so when I had been doing my research while I worked there, I didn't like that because there could have been potential injuries or anything like that. So that's why I started my own. I wanted to make sure that I did all my training, I got all my credentials, I got all the protection to prevent any kind of injuries for anyone or lawsuits down on my end. And then further from that, that's when I really found that I truly enjoyed it. And now I've worked with other people, I've done volunteer work, and I've gone out and made my connections where it's like a community where we all support each other. But I kind of love working by myself. I'm a bit of a homebody, and if I can wear my yoga pants and rock the day out, I am so happy.
Aha, the yoga pants, they've now been revealed.
Yeah, they're totally on right now.
Oh, excellent. So now, because you live in a smaller town, like how many people live in the city that you're in?
70,000.
Okay, so it's a decent sized town.
It's bigger than the one that I had started in. So I was from Fort St. John, British Columbia, where there's 20,000. And then I just moved here 2 years ago. And it was night and day, but that's because I'm Alberta registered and I was living in BC. So even going across province, I couldn't use terms like registered massage therapist while I was in BC. But now that I'm back in Alberta, I can. And so there's so much that worked with that too.
Those are definitely challenges if you couldn't use that. So because you couldn't use certain terms while you're there, how did you end up growing your business? Because there's so many people, they end up letting, let's say, circumstances like that become excuses why they can't succeed. So how did you create success?
I'm actually really glad you touched on that. I had to figure out what I could use for terminology because I couldn't use things like therapeutic massage or deep tissue. So to look into that, British Columbia governs those words, so I had to change on my advertisement. I made sure I was compliant, and then I actually expanded from there. So I went and got schooling in Reiki, and I became a Usui and Karuna Reiki Master Teacher, and then that also kind of set me apart. So then I'd incorporate that with my massage. I went and furthered my schooling to get an advancement in manual lymph drainage, which is a really light tissue massage for those of you who haven't heard of it, but it works to reduce swelling, increase healing, and it just reduces like that overall water retention too. And those kind of little things that I did really helped set me apart from others. I also had like an aesthetic side to my business when I was younger. That's really what I started with because I took pedicures and facial classes and spray tanning. And over time I realized I wasn't really drawn to those, so I did release those from my service menu list, but just kind of taking on anything to just allow me to grow and gain new clientele and share that. I also, in the community, and because I couldn't use certain things, I made sure that everyone knew who I was and what I could do, but like my receipts, you couldn't claim them because I was from Alberta, living in BC. So I made sure that I networked with other therapists too, saying like, yes, my receipts aren't able to be claimed, but I do offer these services and I do have the same level of hours and training that you do. If your clients need it, just maybe let them know that the receipts billing from insurance won't work, but I can still offer this and it would be the same as if a BC RMT was.
Okay, so since we have listeners from all over the place, how did the receipts play into it? Because it's something that's a little bit different like, compared to here in the States. Like in terms of claiming, was that for insurance purposes?
Yeah, so most companies that you have insurance through in Canada, they give you around $500 to $1,000 every year to use for a service-based industry such as like chiropractic, acupuncture, massage therapy. Some people are lucky enough to get that amount for each one of those services, and sometimes it's all in one. And so in order to do that, you need the receipt, and that receipt has my commercial liability insurance number as well as my organizational insurance number, which then states that I am registered, and this is where they can gain that information if the insurance company ever chooses to audit you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the receipts hold all of that. It's kind of like your big book.
Ah, okay. So that makes a lot of sense. So the interesting thing then is that because of that, if people couldn't claim it, did you find that with some people that they didn't want to use you because of it?
Yeah. And again, I totally respected that because if you have free money towards a certain service or you have to pay for it, I'd choose the free one too. Like I get insurance through my husband's work and I totally do both, but I make sure that every year I've used all of that and then I go and spoil myself at other places too. And so,
okay, so then who were the people that you ended up attracting most of the time? Because if the people who they wanted to make sure they could use that $1,000 credit that they were receiving, how did you get around that?
Well, I do find that over time, your personality shines through your business. It's part of your brand. And so I would have people come to me because they truly enjoyed me or the style and technique of my massage that maybe was a little different. And some people even said it was a treat, or maybe they, ran out of their insurance and so they're going wherever they want now. And, it worked out though. I always found that if I trusted in the universe that, you build it and they'll come, I built it and they came. So I was usually booked around 2 weeks in advance, and that also kind of made it a bit of a novelty because when people want to get in right now, I don't know why, that seems to make it a little more of a luxury when you're seen as a little harder to get in with, but it worked out.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's a beautiful thing if you could maintain that being booked out for 2 weeks ahead of time. So that scarcity in terms of product or service is always valuable because the impulse buyer's like, oh, you mean I have to plan ahead? Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It makes a big difference. So obviously you connected with other therapists in the area. What other things did you do to get your name out there? Because in a town of 20,000 people, there can only be so many ways that you could do it.
Oh, so true. So in the beginning, I was pretty amateur about it, and I just made my own posters from like Word documents and uploaded certain photos, and I'd have coupons. I made a referral discount, so if you referred 5 people to me, you would then gain a free massage. I had a website. I still have a website, but my first website was pretty amateur. And I did giveaways, monthly draws. I also really did like charity work and stuff like that, where I'd wear my logos and get my name out there, get my face out there. I don't know. I found that in a community, though, that was so small, everyone was so supportive for me being a local too. Like everyone really made an effort to get to know you and tell people about you. And so I'd not only have like a husband and wife, but then they'd send their kids and then they'd tell their, neighbors and family. And it just really went from there for me. So I can't speak enough on how grateful I am for the support that I've received. And it just speaks volume on the people you get to know. Like even having moved from a different province with a whole new neighborhood and no like structured support system here, I had to restart everything. And I changed my brand and I changed a couple other little techniques. And again, now I'm back to doing what I love and booking in advance. And I can't say enough, but it's the community support too that really gets it out there. So showing my gratitude, I think, has also been a valuable asset too.
I think that's something that many times people can forget about when they're growing a business, is that they're only focused on, I must do everything online, I must run ads, I have to have the website and these things here. But sometimes it can be as simple as the people who are your neighbors knowing what you do because they want to do business with the people that live down the street from them.
Yeah, no, I am so blessed. I've got amazing community members who've been a detrimental part to my business and my success, and so I can't speak enough on how much I appreciate them. Plus friends and family, because they've shared a variety of different, like, dropping my name and helping me out that way too. It had to start somewhere, and I can't say how much gratitude I have for them all.
Right. So now that you're in a larger city, since you're talking about it's over 3 times larger than where you were, did you have to make an adjustment to getting your business up and running where you are now from the smaller town where you were living?
Yeah. So right now where I live is where I went to college, and in this community, because there's a school that pumps out massage therapists every year, you don't have that scarcity, because like where I lived, there was only a set amount of people, where here there's so many. So to set yourself apart from them also kind of takes a bit of patience and again, perfecting what you are good at and what you want to stand with. And so I started with direct billing, which is where I then claim my client's insurance, so they don't even have to pay me and then wait for the money to come to them. I wait for the money to come to me from the insurance agencies, and it saves them. So that set me apart, because a lot of people don't want to do that paperwork. And then just kind of going out there and again, connecting with other therapists and stuff, because I've met chiropractors and acupuncturists who all say, like, I noticed that you don't have a massage therapist here. I work at home and I have all of these credentials. I'll refer to you, and if you feel like you resonate with me, you're more than welcome to send anyone my way. Here's some business cards. And then it's just kind of gone that way for me as well, because I do believe in working together. Because again, massage therapy only covers one aspect. There's so much out there to cover for any person. I do want them to kind of get that all as well. So it works for everyone.
Right, definitely. And that makes sense, because if you complement other people's services, it's a win-win, because then you're both out there marketing and you're able to pass clients back and forth. So how did you go about meeting, say, some of these other therapists and chiropractors? Did you just pick up the phone and say, hey, how are you? I have the deal you cannot refuse. Or what did you do?
I'm not gonna lie, I totally go in and get services and treatments, and I actually want to make sure that I do enjoy them before I refer them out. And so I want to be the person to give an actual opinion based on my experience. So these are all people who I've had services from, and then I can speak on that. And then while I was there, I would maybe drop a hint or just to kind of go from there and see what we were vibing at, and if it would work. Because I know there's some people who they can't, like there's certain offices who might have a massage therapist that comes in and they can't refer out, and I respect that. So just kind of going around and seeing from there.
Right. So then, in a period of a month, as you're building these things up, how many adjustments did you get from different chiropractors when you're trying to build up the referral network?
A fair bit. I think in 1 month I had like 3 or 4, and then I just kind of slowed down on that and went to acupuncture and just tried out different fields. But in all honesty, once you kind of make that connection and stuff, it's been great. Like even yoga studios and stuff like that, everybody wants to connect with others and really work as a network. So it's been fantastic, and it's over time. It wasn't all in 1 month. I'll just say that.
Well, of course not. It'd be kind of odd to see Monday I'm going to this chiropractor, Tuesday I'm going there. After all, like, ow, no one touch me, please.
For sure.
Because by the time the end of the month, you go to that next one, like, everything looks perfect. Why are you here?
Pretty much. But then again, it does work really well for me on that aspect, because I'm not going to lie, I love getting any kind of treatment or self-love, because God knows I need it.
As I'm sure, because as a therapist, that must be a physically taxing job.
Yes. They say the average massage therapist has a career expectancy of 7 to 9 years. And that's if you don't take care of yourself. But I'm happy to say I'm on year 12 and I'm doing great. But that's because I've set a schedule that has balance within it, and I do take self-care measures. So if you have a career and you're service-based, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in all levels, whether it's through your posture, your ergonomics, and self-care patterns from even sleeping, eating, and, stretches.
Right. Oh, those are important. I think it's something, especially as an entrepreneur, that people forget about us at self-care, because they're that I must hustle 24/7 to grow my business, but then their health suffers, and then they find themselves just for like a week or more straight not being able to do anything.
Yeah. No, and that's fair, because you want to prevent the burnout so you can get the longevity in your career and really gain that investment long term.
Right, definitely. So in terms of posture, since we are now living in a sedentary society compared to, let's say, 100 years ago, where most people wouldn't sit through the entirety of their day, what are some good things that people can do with their posture so that way they can be able to make sure they don't fall apart later?
Well, that's actually a great question. So through ergonomics and like if you're looking at kinesiology, like the anatomy of the body, you want to make sure that your feet are planted on the floor, because if you're crossing your ankles, some people will favor one side. And if they're crossing one ankle, they're going to stretch out that one side of the leg, which is like your IT band, and then all the muscles along that one lateral aspect, the outside of your leg. And then you'll actually gain a certain amount of height difference between your hips, because you'll be slowly pulling if it's a repeated thing. So that can affect you. Making sure your knees are lower than your hips just for blood flow. That can help, because some people will find that they'll get numbness and tingling, but they have their feet on a platform where they're raised. That over time can cause certain things like even varicose veins. You got to look at how your arms and elbows are, because your elbows should be higher than your wrists if you're typing at a keyboard. If you find that you're sitting with your wrists elevated higher, you're going to get more risk for carpal tunnel and numbness and tingling, as well as a variety of tendinitis. It could be lateral or medial, which is like tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, just on the inside or the outside of your elbow. That over time can actually really affect you, where if you don't take care of it, some people need surgery. So then there's your neck. Forwarding neck is when people tend to reach their neck out to look at a computer screen versus bringing the computer screen closer to them. I had an ergonomist one time tell me that your eyes should be pointed at a 20-degree angle down to the top of your computer screen. And that's to make sure that you're not consistently looking up either, because your posture needs to be neutral and platform. Otherwise, you're going to shorten the length of your muscles in the back of your neck if you're looking up, and elongate the ones in the front of your neck. And so like all of those tips, if you pay attention while you're sitting and just kind of make sure you watch it, you'll get more conscious, and over time you can correct any behavior patterns that you've maybe turned into kind of a bad habit, if we're going to be honest.
Right, and that's important because you look at the number of people that are suffering from injuries like carpal tunnel and so forth, that so many of them can be corrected just by focusing on their posture.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the one thing, if we were to say carpal tunnel, I'm just going to throw this out there, but if you do have it, a wrist brace at nighttime is actually one of the key things to help it, because a lot of people will bend their wrist and then sleep on it. And so just even little tips like that really make the world of a difference. So there's so many little things out there, just kind of doing your research and paying attention.
Right, you have to pay attention. It makes a difference. So you mentioned that the lifespan in terms of massage therapists typically being between 7 and 10 years. Yeah. How are you beginning to diversify it? Because you're at year 12. So in most people's eyes, they're thinking, well, if the average is this, how much longer are you going to be doing this for? So how are you beginning to diversify what you're doing so that way at some point down the road, if you do decide that you don't want to continue with massage therapy, it's not like you're going cold turkey from generating an income for you and your family?
No, that's a great question. And that kind of brought me to where I am right now. I created an online business course for people who want to kind of follow their passion. And so it's called Find and Follow Your Soul's Purpose. And it's for anyone who just has maybe like an idea and an inkling on where they want to go with it and create their own. So this course came from watching a bunch of other entrepreneurs create passive income. And I've read a lot of books on how to really get like that millionaire mindset, and it's consistently taking time to grow and expand and learn new styles, as is also creating new forms of income. So the online course for me wasn't just like creating another passive income. It was something that I'm also passionate about, as I've had many people over my lifetime come to me and go, well, how did you do this? And I want to do this. So like even students from the local massage therapy school, they've contacted me. And I've met with them one-on-one to kind of like coach them into doing their own thing, because I want to see everyone succeed. And I do believe there's enough for us all. So in that, I found that I was actually decent at explaining things and giving tips. And that's kind of how the course came to be. So from there, the online business course will be something that I always will kind of add to and work with. But then I found that I actually really enjoyed doing that. So then I created an online intuition course as well, because I've grown that way as well. So not only do I do massage, but I do Reiki and reflexology and a variety of other things, which your body posture changes for each different service that you do, which makes it so your longevity in your career is altered then, because you're not doing the exact same motion all day, every day. It shifts. And so just incorporating new things makes it so the day doesn't actually get too repetitious as well.
Oh, that's perfect, because so many times what happens with people is that they do the same thing over and over, and they do experience burnout because there's no variety. I kind of liken it to you, like, let's say from a long time ago, where you'd see people working in a factory before there was a lot of automation, where they did one job, where it was like this one part of a long procedure, like pulling this lever every time a piece of equipment came down, and that was the only thing they ever had to do. Yeah. And, you think of today, like, how that can affect people. They're doing the same routine, the same actions of, for 8-10 hours a day, of what that does to a person.
No, and that's 100% true. Like, it burns a person out over time too. So just even creating that like little shift, that little difference, and being able to do that, because I am sole proprietor, so I get to make my own schedule. And so if I need to go for a walk, I'll go for a walk. If I'm going to put yoga in my schedule, I get to do these things. Yes, I'm a mom, and so my sanity break is work for me, because then I get some adult time where I'm not watching TV every day. Like, it's just making that your own and really going with it, because things will shift and change over time too.
Right. Oh, definitely. That's so critical. And in speaking of shifting and changing over time, it's something that's important that in any business people continue to evolve like you did when you moved from Alberta over to BC, that if you didn't make those changes because of government regulations, you would have had a hard time succeeding.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's so true.
So it's vital that it doesn't matter what type of business anybody's in. It's constantly looking at what are the changes, what's happening right now that I need to adjust to. Otherwise, you find yourself going out of business.
That's the key to success, really, is always looking for a shift and an opportunity to grow and change. Like, I am never closed on any opportunity for growth and development. And so even last year, I was just looking at certain things that I could do to kind of shift and grow and just even as a person, not just a business. And I took some spiritual courses, and I've been taking them for a while, but I took like Akashic record reading, which is more of like a reading basis. And that one was beautiful, but then I found that I was still lacking. So I entered a contest with Carmel Joy Baird, who has a hit TV show, Mom's a Medium. And I got selected and won a mentorship with her to become a certified medium, which I actually just got. I just got my final approval, and yes, I became a certified medium through her. But it was like a 4-month transition for me where it was constant challenging yourself, learning and growing, and setting your ego aside and allowing yourself that opportunity, because I find sometimes we get set in a mind frame of, who am I, or I'm not as good as, where that only blocks and limits us in growth and development in our life and career. And it's really a shame, because we all have an opportunity to really tap into our success. It's just whether we take that chance and we really go for it.
Right. And that's so important that you have that evolution with what you're doing, because there's more than enough people to service out there. And it's amazing when you think of people who have a limiting belief, a limiting mindset about where they'd say, oh, there's already a ton of people doing that one thing. And I jokingly like to say there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. No one person is going to service them all. So there's plenty of room. And you think of, think of a company like Walmart. As big of a retailer as it is, they don't service everybody. So there's plenty of room.
I agree. Actually, that's beautiful, because I covered that in my course too, where it's removing negative behavior and limiting beliefs, like old belief patterns, because sometimes we'll have a belief that isn't even ours. It could be generational from like our parents, where, they were taught that they couldn't do something and then they put that belief on us. But that's not true. That's not something that we need to hold to. If you've got a passion, a gift, an idea, a talent, make it yours. Like, get out there, because your personality, putting in your brand, really will set you apart. Like you said, Walmart's out there, but I love the mom and pop shops where they put their personality and they're in there every day making it their own. And those are the ones that I want to support. I'm totally guilty of getting diapers at Walmart, don't get me wrong, but I do like to go out and see the community for what it is, and really seeing all these wonderful people take their opportunities and go with it.
Right. Oh, definitely. I think everybody can relate to you love to support those local businesses, but then you look at something that you need just en masse, like toilet paper, diapers. You can think, well, I'm saving how much if by buying this big, massive quantity over at Walmart or some other store like that? You do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just because it makes sense.
Totally guilty of it, but I do try and make a point to kind of try and keep it balanced so I can still bring value to the community for sure. But yeah, no, diapers are definitely in bulk.
Well, yeah, since you go through them quite a bit, there's a lot of crap you have to clean up, literally.
Yes, literally. Yeah.
Otherwise, like, oh, there went money in the wrong way. So that's important that you do those things. So obviously, with having the online courses now, and then the different types of practices in the service area, how do you keep a balance between it? Because there's people who want to have that multiple streams of income, but then they're like, but how do I do all this and maintain my sanity and still have like a life with their family and friends?
Schedule and balance and prioritize. So I honestly, this is all part of my course because I go through it in a variety of modules. So there's one, finding like a balance and a schedule for yourself, because you don't want to burn out and you don't want to take opportunities and memories away from yourself and your family. So my online course wasn't a 30-day, because like I've seen a lot of people pump out courses where they can teach you how to create a course. So yeah, a course on creating courses, and it's like a 30-day sell is what they tell you. Well, there's no flippin' way that this course was coming out in 30 days because, one, I am very honest, and I wanted to make sure that it was the best that I could do for everyone involved. And so I know I'm not, jack of all trades, master of none. I know what I'm a master in. I know what I can do. So I did that. And then I found experts who can then share their expertise and place that in the course too. So I've got like an American accountant, a Canadian accountant, because that saved me time. Plus, I'm not an expert in it, so nobody's going to want to take my advice on that part. Then there's like a financial ingenuity expert who teaches tips on finances for a small business. We've got women who excel at just like startup and nonprofit businesses. I've uploaded a course from an expert in New York. And then I've got an expert who's talking about like virtual assistants and stuff like that. So you can outsource tasks that don't really call or resonate to you and move from there. So scheduling, balancing, outsourcing what you don't want to do. Like for sure, I hire an accountant. There's no way I'm not an expert, so I'm not putting my trust in myself on that part, but I do the bookkeeping end of it. So like what works for you, prioritizing it and making it happen.
Oh, that's excellent. And that's something that you don't see in very many courses. People who want to have that master of everything course, but they want to teach it even though they're not the diligent expert. Like, you think of the difference between a Canadian CPA and American one. There's dramatic differences between the two tax systems. Yeah. So it just makes sense to have a person teach you on each, because as much as, let's say, the Canadian CPA, they will know everything there is and then some about the system there. They can only speculate in terms of the ins and outs of what's done here in the States.
That's exactly it. And so I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. And I sought out to get experts in the stuff that are my weaknesses. And I found value for other people because I just want to see everyone have an opportunity to really make their life their own and do something they love, because then you're never really going to work a day in your life either. So when people say, yes, I stay awake till 2 a.m. sometimes working on it, but that's literally the only time I don't have tiny little hands clawing all over me, trying to, drop juice on me or whatever. And then I can dedicate that like hard time right to getting it done. And it's taken me 6 months to do this. So again, set a time frame that's realistic for you and go with it, because it is possible for you to do anything. It's just what's realistic and what's not going to cause you to burn out or, lose interest. Because if you put so much time into something, you don't want to burn out and get sick of it. Because I've met massage therapists who look at, if they charge 70 to 100 an hour, they can knock in like 6 to 9 in a day, and then they can make big buck. But for me, I set my schedule where I have 3 to 4 clients in a day. The rest of the time, there's like cleanup and paperwork and stuff in between. And that's a full day for me. I then work on my online course or connect with emails and stuff like that too and do advertising. But I don't burn out because I'm still setting a balanced schedule that works. So finding one that works for you is key, I think, in business and success.
Oh, totally is. I've met therapists before where they're doing appointment after appointment, just chaining them back to back. But at the end of the day, you can just see the look on their face, like, I am so exhausted, because they gave everything out of their bodies. So they're not going to have the energy to keep on going, which then it relates directly to that whole statistic of that career lasting 7 to 10 years at the most.
Yeah, and that's just it, because like if you work in a spa, and this is why I like to work on my own, if you work in a spa, they call it a clinical hour most times. That clinical hour is when you walk in the door, they cut the time from you getting dressed and getting changed after into your hour. So really you're only maybe getting 50 minutes, and then that therapist is working hour to hour back to back. Where with me, because I work for myself, I set a half hour in between where I can have a pee break, have a snack, do my paperwork, like all those different things, which makes it a more enjoyable day. I can also communicate with my clients so they don't feel like a number and they're smashed through the door. Like I want that connection, and I want them to feel valued. So for me, they get their full hour, and then I still have that break of a half hour in between that gives me time for cleanup and everything too. So finding stuff that works for you, for your niche, your business, really is key. And if you are unsatisfied in your workplace, find somewhere else, because the best time to look for a job is while you have one, and then just keep growing from there.
Oh, that by far is one of the best pieces of advice because you see so many people that they wait until they are out of a job to find a new one and then they're stuck.
Yeah.
So then they have to rush to take whatever they can because they have bills to pay versus doing it when they have that comfort zone so they're not in a state of panic. Like, okay, I need money now. What's going to pay me in the next 2 weeks?
That's just it. And then you can be picky too.
Right. Oh, and you have to be picky. Otherwise, you get just crap stuff happen to you. I like to use the analogy of you need to be as picky in life as to have at least have that same level of pickiness as the person that you choose to marry in life, because you're not going to accept anybody or anything.
That is true. That is true. I was thinking of a joke, but I'm like, I don't think I should right now. But yeah, no, I agree. That's a good analogy. Like, I married my high school boyfriend. We've been together since grade 9. So yeah, that was really young, but I was super picky. Find what works for you.
Right. Because you think about how many people that they'll do something like, oh, well, this will work. And then they're miserable instead of, if you're in that position, sure, you might have to do something for a short period of time, but then get yourself into the position where you can make choices.
That is so true.
And that makes a big difference. So now, as we begin to wrap everything up here, what's one thing you recommend people do so that way they can be able to take care of their health and then also ultimately grow a business, because you've really built up a small business empire out there?
Thank you. Honestly, for me, it's removing the negativity would be like my biggest piece of advice, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs talk about like getting a brand or advertising or tax tips, and it's all been said. So I'm just going to say it this way. This is maybe my spiritual side coming out, but remove the negativity in your life that's holding you back. If you have those naysayers that are going to consistently speak in your ear, or if you're looking online and you consistently see negative media, you're going to believe those limiting beliefs that are out there that, who am I? How can I do this? It seems too much, whatever. If you remove that and you find those people who you idolize, you look up to, and you consistently look at those inspirational quotes and books and podcasts and just take in all the information and content, you're going to get motivated as well. So I always use the term, we vibe with our tribe. And when I say vibe, we vibrate. Our vibrational level is raised. So if you're around a bunch of people who are gossiping and taking in negative forms, you kind of feel that. And if you're in a place where everyone is so inspiring, like if you watch Tony Robbins, like his shows, there's a Netflix area where you can watch it. Everyone there is like jumping and cheering and just loving life, and they come out a changed person. If you put that into your day to day and you look at how you can go and even make those small changes with who you follow on Facebook, even to what you listen. Like if you're going to listen to negative music, it does put you in a funk. If you watch sad movies, it puts you in a funk. Go for the inspirational. Go for the positive. Change your mindset. Remember, you vibe with your tribe. And then all that negativity that you once had, you'll find that you'll be more inspired with all the positivity that you've put in your life, and you can really flourish. There's so much opportunities out there for everyone. It's just trusting that the right thing is going to come to you at the right time, like trusting in the universe, whatever you call to, because I don't try and get too religious here, but just trusting that any opportunity comes at the right time. So if you're in a funk and you're going through something right now, look for the lesson in it and then grow from it, because that could actually be your niche. If you've gone through a whole whirlwind of crap, that might be actually something that could inspire somebody else. You can make that your story. You could make that your pitch. So I found that even with me, I went through like that apprenticeship program when I was 16. I struggled. There were so many things that were going wrong in that facility that really scared me, because I actually had a bit of, like I was looking into massage therapy in school and I found like they didn't have insurance. So if we injured somebody, I would have been sued, and all these different things that happened. And when I came to the woman and said, like, these are issues, she didn't like what I had to say, and we kind of butted heads, which is why I started my own company. It was part of my story and what built me to me. So it was a challenging part, but it made me who I am. So look for your opportunity to grow from any negative experience. You can really find a lesson in it. And then look for positivity in any form. Like for me, having a cup of coffee right now, I am loving life because it gives me that time to like even calm my mind and get my day's tasks and goals in order. So being grateful for like those little moments too really, really make your day set apart.
Oh, that's excellent. Love it. So how can people learn more about you, your courses, and reach out to you?
Well, I have a website. It's melissabadine.com. So MELISSA, and then Badine is BADINE.com. And then my online course, it's Find and Follow Your Soul's Purpose through Thinkific. And so it's like find dash follow dash your soul. Like it's all these dashes in between each one at thinkific.com. But you can also join my free Facebook group. It's Find and Follow Your Soul's Purpose. I'm just, I guess, repeatedly plugging this, but it's a free community. It's supportive. You can throw up your business. You can throw up ideas. You can put polls in there. I don't have a ton of rules. I just don't want spamming just for the certain specific reason of targeting people, but just a community to really grow and share and learn from each other. If you have a challenge, put it up there. If you have an opt-in, put it in there. If you feel somebody's going to grow with you, great, because that's where we can all flourish.
Oh, excellent. I love it. Well, Melissa, I want to thank you for coming onto the Big Movement podcast today and sharing your wisdom about health, business, and so much more with everybody.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.